got about 45 minutes. Let's go. Swelling of the scalp that crosses the suture line is normal, and it's caput. You're like,
No, I just did not.
okay. What? One at a time.
Can you repeat that, ma'am?
Caput does not cross the suture line. Caput does cross the suture line. Hematomas do not. Say that right. If you've got a baby who is hypoglycemic, what do we do? What do we want to do for babies to prevent hypoglycemia? Keep them warm. Keep them warm. Know your hypoglycemia, yeah, low blood sugar. Know your respiratory rates, the normals. Remember, 60 is the high end, so anything over 60 is going to be too fast. If you've got a baby that's grunting, when we say grunting on these tests, we are not talking about trying to have poop. They're having difficulty breathing. So assess the respiratory system. We just talked about galactosemia. And we want to make sure, is that baby going to be able to eat breast milk?
If the mother doesn't have any,
No, they're not going to be able to.
They can't. If there's any lactose, they cannot have, if it's galactosemia, any lactose, whether it's from mom or cow or whatever, they can't have it.
Lactosemia?
Galactosemia. Remember galactulose or yeah. It's the sugars in the milk too.
They can have soy milk.
They can have soy milk, right?
Or
Not real
milk.
soy-free milk.
Yeah. Know what the normal fontanelles are supposed to look like. I think I said it like 5 times today.
round.
Not sunken, not bulging. Where do we give vitamin K? Do y'all know? You know where we give the shot for the vitamin K on babies? It's in the thigh, the left thigh. Yeah. So you're going to grab that little muscle there and you're going to kind of pull it up because that needle that's on the end of that can actually hit bone on a baby if you don't have a little fat one like we just saw. You got a little skinny spider monkey looking baby. You got to make sure you pull that muscle up and then give the vitamin K. Okay? How do we know when vitamin K is effective? What do we give it for? Clotting. So you would know if you did a heel stick on a baby and you've changed that Band-Aid 3 times, that vitamin K ain't working, or vice versa. If you do it and maybe you even have a hard time getting the blood because it keeps clotting off so fast, then that's how we know. Now why, the reason for jaundice, hyperbilirubinemia,
That word.
calculate APGAR,
Calculate what?
an APGAR score, APGAR. This baby's lost a certain amount of its weight, its birth weight, so you got to calculate that. There's a little foot on here, and it's got. It's gonna say where would you do the heel stick? I think I put that into your brains hard enough that y'all remember that one. We need to, if a baby's exclusively breastfed, we need to make sure that those parents are educated about jaundice, the signs and symptoms. What is the baby's going to look like? That sort of thing. Know the signs and symptoms of respiratory distress. Remember we talked about, the flaring of the nostrils, the drawn in intercostals and subclavians and stuff like that. Grunting. So y'all know why we do the, everybody always goes, why do you give the antibiotic after a baby's born in the eyes? And that started because we want to prevent what's called ophthalmia neonatorum. And that is just a fancy word that says, I had gonorrhea and I made my baby blind. So that's why we don't put the antibiotic in there because we think they're going to get a yeast infection in their eye. It's because gonorrhea can lay dormant. Now we test for it now, so I'm kind of like, I don't know that we really need to do it every time. But
It's given to prevent blindness or
I'm sorry, what?
given to prevent what?
Blindness. It's called ophthalmia neonatorum. OPHTHALMIA. And it looks almost like neon a torum. NEONATORUM.
Jesus.
I'm just gonna Google it.
Yeah, just Google it. Just gonorrhea and eyes, and you'll figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
What do we do? What do we give moms if we think she's going to deliver early and we want to mature those lungs up?
Steroids.
Corticosteroids.
Steroids. When we're trying to mature lungs, we think mom's going to deliver early. We give mom what? Yeah, steroids. Say it loud. Say it proud. I know y'all know it. So I told y'all if the baby's being born to a diabetic mom, we want to make sure that we check that blood glucose within the first hour, okay?
And feed within the first 15 minutes.
Yeah. No, I would know why we get jaundice. You know, I told you it's either physiological, so it's either because they're breastfed or whatever, and then there's also the RH factor can cause it. So know those causes. Know why. If I'm going to gavage feed a baby, what do I want to make sure I do if it's a preemie? Yep, pacifier in the mouth.
What did you just say?
Look back over those hip dysplasia slides. Know that stuff. I'll show that. Oh, hydrocephalus, you know, I mean, the baby's head's really heavy. You need to make sure you're always supporting that head. You know, like some little babies, you can kind of, you know, put them like right here for a second and reach for something. You don't ever let go of that hydrocephalus baby's head because it's so heavy, they can't, you know, they'll just bloop. And then you've got other issues going on with the neck. Know how, you remember we talked about the shunt? If we had to put a ventral shunt in, that we're always checking that head circumference, right? It's a picture of a baby with a cephalohematoma.
After the shunt, you want to check the head and the chest.
Right. Cephalohematoma does not cross. Be able to look at a picture of a baby with cephalohematoma and go, oh, that's a cephalohematoma. Remember when we do the cleft repair, what do we do to baby? There's a couple of things that we have to do to ensure that they don't mess with that. Right.
Can you repeat that?
So whenever we do a cleft palate or cleft lip repair, remember we don't want the baby scratching at their face. That's a big deal. That's like, it has to be done. You have to put that baby in arm restraints. Remember, we always keep the spina bifida, the meningomyocele babies, tummy down instead of back down. So if a mom says that she's been breastfeeding, we didn't really go into breastfeeding on this one. If she's been breastfeeding and she's now got sore nipples or she's got a blister or something like that, we need to check to make sure positioning is correct. And then we also need to check and make sure that the lips aren't tucking under or something like that. But usually if it's painful It's a positioning thing. Okay, so remember, all right, this one's kind of tricky, so I'll just go ahead, we'll talk about it. If you have a baby that's just been born, let's say it's been in our wonderful free world for about 15 minutes. And you look at that baby, and that baby should be pink centrally, right? Also, their lips and their gums should be pink. But if you look over at a baby and they look kind of dusky, or even that mottled kind of look, like you've seen people that get like kind of cold and it looks like parts of it's white, part of it's red or blue or whatever. So they get this mottled kind of look on their trunk. That has got to be something wrong with their respiratory system. We look at ABCs, right? So first thing I'm going to look at is airway. Is the mom holding the baby like this? Is it pinching itself off? Because babies can do that. That's why we have to be careful how we position them, like in car seats and things like that. So their head can drop forward, and it can actually cut off air supply. So we need to make sure, check the baby's position. Is the baby breathing at all? I've had that happen too. Go in and they're like, my baby's not breathing, and I run with the baby in my arm like a football. It was breathing by the time I got up there. I enjoyed the run, but little turd. Anyway. So remember that, look at what the question's asking you.
Just wanted to ride.
Yeah, he wanted to run. Anyway, so that's it, guys. Like I said, we'll get your narrated PowerPoints out. Give me, a half a split second to get that done, and then test next week. So if y'all have questions, though, call me. You can ask. Okay. All right, we're done. And then you can let me